news, Fox has set Drew Goddard up to write and direct the new X-Force movie with both Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds expected to return as Cable and Deadpool. Goddard, as discussed last week, is currently writing and directing Bad Times at the El Royale, starring Jeff Bridges and Chris Hemsworth, and he was nominated for an Oscar for his work on the script for The Martian. So this is pretty good news if you're a fan of his work. And if you enjoyed Daredevil, because he was one of the front runners for Daredevil as far as writing and everything else goes. So I think Drew Goddard is a pretty nice pick. Now, I'm not too familiar with X-Force in general. Like, I know that Shatterstar is part of it. He's got like swords and he has like a crazy outfit and stuff like that. They're more of like a military group, if you will, a special ops team of the X-Men universe. And Cable is usually the leader of that. Wolverine and Deadpool have stepped in from time to time, but primarily like the early runs were Cable leading the X-Force. So it makes sense that they're kind of going this way, and Drew Goddard's a pretty talented writer, especially like with what he was able to do with Netflix's Daredevil. Like, that was really impressive for an initial offering, because all we had up to that point was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was not that great in my opinion. I got through like the first season, I was like, and then, subsequent seasons I just have lost all interest in. So fortunately, Netflix is strong in regards to how they deliver their content and the quality of their content, even though some of their seasons have been hit or miss. Across the board, though, outside of Iron Fist, all of the seasons have been entertaining and well written, up to a point for me personally, and then there's a couple episodes here and there where I'm like, but overall, I think Drew Goddard's a nice pick for this. He's got a working relationship already with Fox because of The Martian. He's also got a working relationship with these Marvel properties. So I think he's going to do a pretty good job. I want to see how everything shakes out with Deadpool 2, because I want to see what Josh Brolin looks like and how he delivers Cable. Plus, we know that we've got Domino in there as well. So if she comes back for the X-Force, then we'll have three characters that we're already familiar with kind of joining this special ops military team to kind of see what they're going to take on from Drew Goddard's perspective. So I think this could be a lot of fun, and I think the story will be well written, which is one of the most important things. So I'm thumbs up on this. I hope you guys are too. Marvel Disney released new character posters for the upcoming movie Thor Ragnarok, as well as a new teaser trailer. The trailer dropped during the NFL season opener last Thursday night. Link for the new trailer is in the show notes below. I love this trailer so much. As soon as it dropped on Twitter, I was like, wait, is this like a new thing, or are these websites like reporting an old thing? And then I started seeing all these new posters dropping, and I was like, what is going on? This is amazing. So I went over, watched it, and I loved it. I loved it. This is already my most anticipated film. Now, before people freak out, they're like, what? You're Star Wars, Jeremy? Okay, I get it. I get Rian Johnson's going to do great with Star Wars. I have the highest expectation for that film. I'm looking forward to it, but I already am expecting that it's going to be great. With Thor Ragnarok, I'm expecting it to be a super fun time, but I don't know how great it's going to be, because even though I loved the first Thor movie, that was one of my favorite films from the Marvel Cinematic Universe until Winter Soldier, and it's still in the top 5 even where we are right now, past Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The original Thor by Kenneth Branagh is still in my top 5. The second Thor just was kind of boring. It just didn't go anywhere. I was very disappointed in how the story did not really move, and how they relied on cheap comedy with the the side characters to try, and it just wasn't a villain that was completely wasted. So I'm hoping that this third one, I'm hoping it's going to be like the Bond franchise, where every other one is super good. So that's what I'm hoping with Thor. The first one was amazing, the second one, the third one, hopefully it's amazing. So that is my most anticipated. So with the Justice League, I'm still kind of meh on the whole thing. I'm looking forward to it more, knowing that Joss Whedon's getting writer's credit, because as we talked last week on this show, that probably means, per everything we discussed, that he's been in talks with Zack Snyder and the other writer. So that gives me hope that they're kind of trying to keep the same concept or same plot to deliver on, but they're just making it the overall story better. So that has me hopeful, but I'm still just like, when it comes out, it comes out, but it's not really on my calendar. Like Thor Ragnarok, the beginning of November, I cannot wait. And I put the link in the show notes below if you want to watch it. It's a very short little teaser trailer. Marvel has this thing where they like to kind of rehash the same trailer, but just give you a little bit more. So like the first trailer will come out, and then the second trailer will come out, and it'll be almost identical to the first one, but you'll get a little bit more footage. This is kind of like a short one where we get to see stuff that we didn't get to see before, which I really liked. In fact, I found a still of one of the shots and made it like my Facebook banner. Like, it's Thor fighting Surtur, but Surtur is literally shooting flames at Thor with a fire sword. A fire sword, people. This movie is going to be nuts. I cannot wait for this movie. It's just fantastic. I can't wait. Check out the trailer. Like I said, it's really short. Link is in the show notes below. Lucasfilm has parted ways with director Colin Trevorrow. Episode 9 has not yet begun filming, as principal photography is slated to begin January of 2018. Star Wars Episode 9 is scheduled for release May of 2019. At present, no word of who will be directing has been announced. Well, this isn't the first time Star Wars and Lucasfilm have had issues with directors. In fact, with the most recent run, Howard involvement for Han Solo, like that was like the big whoa. Like when you're almost done filming a movie and then you fire the directors, or the directors leave, or whatever, however you want to paint that picture, that is pretty telling as to how working relationships are going overall. Now, I'm a little bit more excited about Star Wars Episode 9 knowing that, like, at the very beginning, before principal photography has begun, and for those of you who are watching going, what does that mean? Principal photography is when they just start shooting the movie. Whatever scene that they're going to start filming with, because they don't shoot in order. Movies, they shoot the scenes in whatever order that they feel is necessary as their storyboarding. So what we see on the big screen is clearly not the order in which they shot the film. So whatever scene they decide, that's the first day of principal photography. So like, I'm kind of happy if they knew a couple months in advance this just isn't going to work out, that they parted ways with Trevorrow. It's still kind of following that same, like, what's going on at Lucasfilm. Like, is Kathleen Kennedy, did like her and Trevorrow's ideas just not mix at all? Like, what, like, was it just a slight disagreement, or was it like such a huge departure from what she saw the big picture being for the Star Wars universe that she's like, we just can't do this and you've got to go? So we don't know. We probably won't know until after the movie's released and they do like a tell-all book, or it's a Blu-ray special features, or Life in Star Wars, the 60 Minutes documentary or whatever, So I'm kind of happy that they were like, yeah, dude, you gotta go. Like, just let's just, no one's happy. Let's just call it quits and let's just get you out of here and bring in somebody that's going to kind of fit more in line with what we picture the Star Wars universe being. And rumors are suggesting that like Episode 9 is going to be like the end of the Skywalker saga, right? So we'd have 9 movies with the Skywalker family. So from the very first Phantom Menace, where we meet Anakin, who eventually turns into Darth Vader, going all the way through, Episode 9 with Luke, possibly. We don't know if he's going to survive, but we're assuming he survives into Episode 9. Like, we lost Han, with the passing of Carrie Fisher. I'm under the assumption that we're not going to have a Leia in Episode 9, but I can't confirm that. This is just a feeling I have. So, bring in the right director to end the Skywalker saga. These 9 films, it's very Shakespearean from start to finish, on the characters going up, coming down, going up, coming down, with, good versus bad and everything else. It's been a lot of fun for us as Star Wars fans to kind of watch the family story unfold. So bring in the right director to close out that saga, if that's what you're going to do. I'm hopeful that they're going to find the right guy. Now, Rian Johnson could always come back. He's already got a great working relationship with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. J.J. Abrams, he's voiced that he would like to do another Star Wars movie, so he could do it. And maybe a little less lens flare, but otherwise, we're pretty good with that. There's a lot of other very talented directors that could step in and kind of take over if their ideas mesh with the big picture that Lucasfilm is going for. So I'm hopeful, because we still have, it's September. So if they're not looking to start shooting until January, we've got time. So I'm hopeful that this time is going to be used to really kind of build out what this final story is going to be in this third trilogy, the ninth film overall for the Star Wars continuing universe, not the offsets like Rogue One or Han Solo, but like the overall story arc. And we can get excited as fans knowing that Lucasfilm is still very hands-on, and they're still going to deliver a great product to us as movie watchers, movie fans, and Star Wars lovers. 47 Meters Down is getting a sequel. Johannes Roberts is looking to return as writer and director for what will be titled 48 Meters Down. The sequel is currently being shopped to buyers at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. Now, I didn't see this one. I missed this one. I was looking over movies that are still in theaters, and somehow this movie popped back up in theaters, and I was like, wait, didn't this movie come out at like the beginning of summer? So I thought maybe since it's being re-released in theaters, they're doing like some type of Oscar push, for any number of either acting, writing, special effects, costume design, right? Like the myriad options of Oscars that you can win for making a movie. But apparently, maybe it was released because they're shopping the sequel and they wanted it to be fresh in people's minds. So I may try and get out to the theaters while it's doing like a short-term re-release all of a sudden, just to see it, because it did gangbusters in the theaters for like a smaller kind of independent film. It made a lot of money, so I might go check it out now that they've greenlit a sequel, or I might just wait until it hits Redbox or VOD or something like that. I don't know, but if you saw 47 Meters Down, go ahead and throw it in the comments below and let us know what you thought about that film, because apparently it did well enough to warrant a sequel, and it definitely made enough money as an independent film to warrant a sequel. So, I kind of want to see the first one now, because if the same guy's coming back to write and direct, clearly he was on the right track with everything that was going on. So I'm curious, and I would like to hear your opinion. So if you saw the movie, leave your comments below and get that conversation going about 47 Meters Down, going into now a sequel, 48 Meters Down. And let's just talk about that. Rotten Tomatoes is back in the news. Hollywood studios are blaming the poor summer box office performance on the website. An aggregate score from critics around the internet seems to be the reason for the slowest summer in almost 20 years, the New York Times reports. Link for the article in the show notes below. So it's kind of weird that Rotten Tomatoes is getting all this pushback from studios. All this website is doing is taking the information that paid critics, actual movie critics, that they write about, and then people like us who are film fans and lovers and just into entertainment and everything else on YouTube or blogs or whatever, and then we go see these movies and we say, well, yay or nay, what do we think? And then we give all that information to Rotten Tomato, and then Rotten Tomato goes, okay, well, here's the results of said data. That's Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't sit around and go, well, we think the movie should be this, or we think the movie should be that. So if you have a low box office summer, the lowest in almost 20 years, I don't see how you look at the critics and be like, well, this is your guys' fault. All we did was go see your movies. If you made a bad movie, you made a bad movie. I don't get it. I'm not saying that movie making is easy. I'm not saying that at all. It's very difficult. I get it. If you're investing all of this money, why are we getting such half good, half bad, sometimes all bad films? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I went through and I was like, well, what are some of the lowest Rotten Tomato scores for the summer blockbusters from this summer? And I was like, let's just take a look and see if the movies are good, in my opinion, from what I wrote the reviews on. If I wrote a review for that particular movie or not, we'll find out as we go through this list. But was this a good movie or was this not a good movie? And then we'll kind of base it on what the aggregate score is on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's go ahead and cut to that. Let's cut to that slide right now. So first, here's the movies we have. We have The Dark Tower, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, The Hitman's Bodyguard, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. These were not the only summer blockbusters, but these were the ones that were on the Rotten Tomatoes website the lowest. So movies like Wonder Woman, War for the Planet of the Apes, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. These are summer blockbusters, but these were both critically and not commercially, but critically and then also audience score fresh, right? So the movies that we just listed on that previous slide, those were critically horrible. So let's take a look at those and then I'll just kind of recap because I did see all of those films. So let's just recap real quick. So let's go back to that slide. So we have The Dark Tower, critical with 16% rotten, audience scored 54% rotten. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, critical response 30% rotten, but the audience scored it 64% fresh. Hitman's Bodyguard, 39% rotten, critical response. Audience scored it 72% fresh. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, 51% rotten for critical response and 56% rotten audience score. So out of these scores, like, I don't think I see anything surprising. I don't think you were surprised. Maybe you were by the audience score for Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe you were for Hitman's Bodyguard not being critically received well. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, like, Pirates of the Caribbean was an okay film. I get why it's got a high audience score. That didn't really surprise me. It's not a great movie, but it is entertaining. And then, you know, they bring back the originals at the very end of the film. So we get all of that cast from the first Pirates movie, which is nice, And then Hitman's Bodyguard, not a great movie, but a super fun, super entertaining flick for the summer. Like, just a fun action comedy. One of the best I've seen in a long time. And I'm not surprised that got a great audience score, but critically it was not well received because it's not, like I said, it's not really a great movie. Like, the writing in it it's predictable, like, but it's so much fun and it's so over the top. I'm not surprised that people loved it because I loved it. I walked out of the theater and I was just like, that was so much fun. So, but when you look at like these movies, like, these are your summer blockbusters, and these are like some of the lowest on the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, right? So on the website, if you go to the summer blockbusters, like, you can look at, you can filter it to see like what's high, what's low. So it's like these movies weren't great. Like Hitman's Bodyguard was #1 for 3 weeks, like, but it didn't make a lot of money. But it came out towards the end of August, like at the end of the summer blockbusters. So maybe if it would have been like somewhere, you know, in between Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Wonder Woman, maybe it would have made more money. Like, we don't know. So it's like, what is your marketing campaign, studios? Like, when are you placing the movies? Like, what's the faith you have in these films? Like, it's just, you can find, there's this thing on Twitter that's floating around that actually shows a comparison of like the Rotten Tomatoes score and the box office dollars earned. So like movies that have like a high across the board fresh for critical and audience makes more money, and then like you start seeing like on the graph, like as it goes and goes and goes, like the more rotten the movie, the less money it makes, which obviously should happen, right? If a movie's bad, why would people pay to see it? So you can find that on Twitter, like, it's floating around. It just popped up pretty recently, within a month or so. So check out that. But yeah, like these are just bad movies, like, and you probably didn't market them well, and you placed it at the wrong time of year. Like, if Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, like, I get it. I enjoyed it for what it was as a visual spectacle film. The story was kind of the dialogue was but like the action in it and like other aspects of the film, especially the way it was designed and the way it looked and the graphics in it, the CGI was just luminescent. It was great. But, you know, maybe don't put that like right, like maybe switch it around, you know, either like put it towards March, maybe put it back towards September, like do something where it's not like in the heart of summer, and maybe it'll make more money. It might be more well received at that time of year than, say, going up against Spider-Man Homecoming, right? So that's just my 2 cents. If you think something different, that's what the comment section's for. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and share kind of what you think studios might be able to do to better equip theaters with the quality films to actually boost the income of their money from us paying to go see their films. So help the studios out. Throw your comments below. Honorable mentions this week: Gavin O'Connor is in talks to write and direct Suicide Squad 2. Apple and Amazon are looking to buy the film rights to the James Bond franchise. Photos have surfaced of Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury in the new Queen film. Andy Muschietti might possibly direct a Dracula prequel. Yep, a prequel entitled Dracul. Will Smith posted a photo of him in the cast of the new Disney live-action Aladdin movie online. Alright, so that pretty much wraps it up for the news this week. If you want to see those photos that were mentioned, I believe Entertainment Weekly dropped the photos of Rami Malek for Queen, so you can go ahead and hop on that and check that out. It should be pretty easy to find in general.